Welcome, esteemed gentlemen. Not everyone who walks away is giving up. Sometimes they're just upgrading to a quieter version of success. In a world where being social is almost a currency, there exists a rare breed who thrive in the spaces beyond the spotlight, the Sigma males. They're the ones who effortlessly step back, retreat, or simply hit cold switch on people, relationships, and social obligations, all with a level of calm that's equally fascinating and confusing. Why do they do it? And more importantly, what drives them to suddenly go radio silent? Here's an interesting fact. Studies show that solitude can actually boost creativity, increase problem-solving abilities, and even extend your lifespan. Take that, extroverts. So while society may see a Sigma male's silence as mysterious or even aloof, there's often a complex purpose behind each deliberate withdrawal. Join us as we dive into the surprising and often humorous reasons why Sigma males master the art of the cold switch. It's less about running from the world and more about recharging, realigning, and quite frankly, reclaiming their peace. Number 1. Reassessing and pruning relationships that no longer serve. Sigma males are known for being incredibly selective with the people in their lives. It's not that they don't care about relationships, it's that they care a lot about the right ones. Every so often, a Sigma male will go through a kind of social audit, evaluating the connections they keep, and it's not always pretty. This isn't some cold-hearted spreadsheet exercise, it's more like a necessary recalibration of their social energy. Sigmas treat their energy and time like an exclusive club, and not everyone makes it past the velvet rope. When they hit cold switch on certain relationships, it's often because they've realized that some connections have become more of a drain than a gain. A Sigma isn't one to waste time on shallow or transactional relationships, the ones that feel more like a subscription you forgot to cancel than a real bond. For them, it's all about depth, purpose, and most importantly, mutual growth. If a relationship isn't adding to their lives, or worse, is dragging them down, they'll quietly cut it off. No fuss, no fireworks. Humorously, a Sigma male's social life often resembles a well-pruned bonsai tree, carefully maintained, occasionally trimmed, and always a little sparse. They aren't the types to maintain connections out of guilt or nostalgia. If an old friend is still in the picture, it's because they've earned that place, not because they simply go way back. Sigmas don't keep up appearances just for tradition's sake. For Sigma males, it's all about pruning away the excess to create room for something meaningful. They're not ghosting you, they're just taking quality over quantity, to a level most people don't understand. In a world that pressures everyone to be connected 24/7, they'd rather invest in a few relationships that truly matter, and that's a choice that keeps them genuinely fulfilled. At number 2, emotional self-preservation from toxic environments. For Sigma males, the world can often feel like it's packed with emotional landmines. They aren't indifferent or cold-hearted, but they're extremely careful about where they spend their emotional energy. In their minds, certain social situations or environments can be downright toxic, filled with drama, negativity, or shallow interactions that drain them without adding anything meaningful. And let's be honest, these guys have zero tolerance for emotional background noise. When they sense a place or person has become toxic, their response is swift and effective: cold switch. Sigma males know that exposing themselves to certain people can lead to feeling emotionally exhausted, manipulated, or simply numb. They recognize these red flags faster than most. It's like they have an internal radar that warns them whenever they're near a potential energy vampire. When that radar goes off, they don't stick around hoping things will get better. Nope, they're out. No explanations, no drama, just a silent exit. This isn't about weakness or avoidance. For Sigmas, it's about emotional self-preservation. They see their own emotional health as a limited resource that needs protecting, not wasting on people or situations that don't respect their boundaries. And if protecting that resource means walking away, they'll do it in a heartbeat. They're not interested in sticking around just to be polite, or worse, to play therapist for people who never reciprocate the favor. Their approach is a bit like their own version of Marie Kondo's life philosophy. If it doesn't bring peace or purpose, it's gotta go. They'll quietly cut ties, sidestep drama, and move on to environments that support their mental well-being. They know that by cold switching, they're not abandoning anyone. They're simply protecting their peace in a world that often tries to test it. Number 3. Detoxing from the manipulative dynamics of social games. Sigma males have an allergy to social games. They're the ones who see through all the hidden agendas, subtle power moves, and ego-driven dramas that others often get sucked into. Social hierarchies? Climbing the ladder? Playing nice to earn some status points? Nope. Sigmas aren't buying into any of it because they find the whole process draining, phony, and frankly a waste of time. They'd rather focus on things that genuinely interest them than participate in a pointless popularity contest. When a Sigma male encounters these manipulative dynamics, people subtly vying for dominance, trading fake compliments, or networking purely for personal gain, he's out. Cold switch mode activated. For him, there's nothing appealing about dancing around in a social circus where everyone's performing but no one's really connecting. Sigmas crave authenticity. And as soon as they sense that they're in a space where people are wearing masks, they quietly withdraw, choosing solitude over shallow relationships. It's not that they're antisocial, they just refuse to fake it. They aren't the ones who will stand around laughing at the boss's bad joke just to stay in good graces. A Sigma male would rather be true to himself than play along with the games others rely on to gain status or influence. If they do choose to interact with someone, it's because they genuinely respect that person, not because they're looking for an angle. This unshakable stance can make them seem standoffish or mysterious, but for Sigmas it's simple. They want real, not rehearsed. So when they sense an environment full of artificial relationships and power struggles, they don't try to play the game. They step away, preserving their energy for people and pursuits that don't require pretending. And in a world that often values appearances over authenticity, that's a game-winning move. At number 4, exploring a curated life of minimalism. Sigma males have a knack for living with precision. They're like minimalists of the social world, always looking to streamline, simplify, and cut the clutter, especially when it comes to relationships and obligations. The more they reduce unnecessary connections and distractions, the more they're able to focus on what actually matters. For them, cold switching isn't about isolating themselves. It's about curating a life that's free from the noise, drama, and extra baggage that come with an overly crowded social calendar. In their world, less is genuinely more. They prefer a handful of meaningful relationships over a swarm of acquaintances. And they're the types to opt out of social events that don't add real value to their lives. Big parties, mindless group chats, and endless networking events? Hard pass. Sigma males don't see the point in surrounding themselves with people they can't connect with on a deeper level. They want quality, not quantity. And they're perfectly fine with some people thinking that makes them antisocial. This streamlined approach extends to their lifestyle too. They're drawn to efficiency and purpose, preferring clear, clean spaces and minimal obligations. They'd rather have a few powerful experiences than an endless stream of distractions. The world may be obsessed with accumulating more friends, more likes, more events to attend. But Sigmas choose differently. They see life as a carefully crafted playlist, not one of those shuffle-all situations where you end up with a mess of random tracks. By cold switching, Sigma males make space for things that actually inspire them, leaving behind the filler and fluff. It's not about rejecting people, it's about embracing the kind of life that keeps them grounded and focused. In a world that constantly says more is better, they're here to prove that simplicity, when done right, is an art form. Number 5, aligning with their own pace and rhythm. Sigma males have their own unique rhythm, and it doesn't follow anyone else's schedule. While most people are hustling to keep up with social demands, hitting deadlines, and sticking to routines, Sigmas operate in a kind of no-rush zone. For them, cold switching is often about breaking free from everyone else's timetable and tuning into their own pace. They don't want to be forced into someone else's idea of normal or productive. Their natural rhythm might be slower in some ways, intense in others. Whatever it is, it's theirs and they don't compromise on it easily. Sigmas thrive when they can structure their days according to their own needs, moods, and creative flows. They're not anti-schedule, they're anti-rigid schedule. If inspiration strikes at midnight, they'll be up working, oblivious to whether it's the right time. And if they need a break at 10 a.m., they're not the type to force themselves through it just to keep up appearances. It's not laziness or rebellion, it's an awareness of their personal peak performance times, which they prioritize over social expectations. This attitude can come off as aloof or even stubborn, especially in a world that's all about syncing up. But Sigma males see it differently. Why waste energy pretending to fit into a schedule that doesn't suit them? They know that working with their natural rhythm is the key to producing their best work and maintaining their peace of mind. When they hit cold switch, they're simply tuning out the world's noise and following their own beat, unbothered by anyone who thinks they're off track. It's a quiet, powerful act of self-trust, choosing their own timing in a world that's always racing. And honestly, while everyone else is frantically checking their watches, Sigmas are over here, proving that sometimes the most productive path is the one without a schedule. Number 6. Resentment toward shallow validation systems. Sigma males have a natural aversion to the world's shallow validation systems. The likes, the follows, the need to be seen and celebrated. They know that society often rewards surface-level traits like how well someone can play up their image or network in all the right circles. To a Sigma, this is exhausting and meaningless. They're not interested in gaining approval from strangers or chasing after the hollow praise that comes from popularity contests. When faced with environments that thrive on this kind of shallow validation, their response is simple: cold switch. While others are scrambling to impress, Sigmas are quietly uninterested. They don't need to flaunt their achievements or gather compliments to feel secure in themselves. This isn't because they think they're above it all. It's because they genuinely don't need it. They understand that external validation can be addictive, leading people to constantly seek approval rather than focusing on what truly matters to them. Sigmas prefer to invest in things that hold real value in their lives, rather than getting caught up in a feedback loop of shallow praise. This approach can make them seem mysterious or even cold, especially in a world where everyone's expected to share and self-promote. But Sigmas don't see the point in broadcasting their lives for the sake of a few virtual pats on the back. They're focused on building skills, tackling challenges, and achieving personal goals that align with their values. If that doesn't come with applause, they're completely fine with it. In a society that measures success by likes and followers, Sigma males are quietly carving out their own path, one that doesn't rely on the crowd's approval. While others are counting likes, Sigmas are counting real accomplishments, feeling fulfilled by things that actually matter. It's a subtle, almost rebellious stand against shallow validation, and they wouldn't have it any other way. Number 7. Eliminating emotional energy vampires. Sigma males have a radar for energy vampires, those people who seem to drain the life out of everyone around them. These vampires aren't necessarily bad people, but they're the ones who bring endless complaints, constant drama, or just an insatiable need for attention. To a Sigma, these types can be downright exhausting. Instead of trying to politely tolerate it, Sigmas use their trusty tool, cold switch. It's their way of drawing a boundary without any confrontation, preserving their energy for things and people that matter. For Sigma males, every relationship should be a fair exchange of energy. They're happy to listen, support, and help others, but they expect the same respect in return. When they sense that a relationship has tipped into one-sided territory, where they're giving without getting, they start checking out. And unlike many people who might feel guilty about needing space, Sigmas have zero shame in their decision to distance themselves. They value their mental clarity too much to let anyone drain it away. This doesn't mean they're heartless. They just have a low tolerance for high-maintenance relationships that only take. They know that life's too short to spend it babysitting someone else's emotional baggage. When they decide to go into cold switch mode, it's not personal, it's practical. They've realized that it's healthier to step back than to be pulled into a spiral of someone else's drama or neediness. The irony is that by setting these boundaries, Sigmas often end up with far more meaningful relationships. They're not surrounded by a crowd of sort of friends, but by a handful of people who respect their independence and reciprocate their loyalty. And honestly, if cutting out energy vampires leaves them with more peace and less drama, it's a win they'll gladly take. Number 8. Avoiding entanglement in social debt. Sigma males have a complicated relationship with social debt. Unlike most who might feel obligated to keep up with every friendship or to match every favor, Sigmas see these unwritten "you owe me" rules as traps. To them, social debt is like carrying around a backpack full of bricks you never signed up for. They know that every favor, every "let's catch up soon," and every birthday party invite has the potential to come with invisible strings. And unlike others, they're not willing to trade their freedom for the comfort of social obligations. Sigmas value independence above all, and the thought of being socially indebted to anyone feels like a restraint on that freedom. They're not about keeping tabs on who did what for whom. If they're going to do something for someone, they'll do it because they want to, not because they feel they have to keep the social balance sheet even. The moment they sense that someone is subtly expecting a return on their kindness or generosity, a Sigma male will hit cold switch and distance himself from that person. It's not that they don't appreciate friendship. They just don't want their connections to come with hidden costs. This approach can make them appear unpredictable or even uncaring, but to a Sigma, it's about honesty. They refuse to play along with social games where friendship is more like an obligation than a genuine connection. They'd rather have a few genuine relationships without any strings attached than a network of people who keep mental scorecards. For Sigmas, friendships shouldn't feel like a debt they constantly have to repay. They should feel easy and free. So when Sigmas step back from relationships that start feeling like obligations, it's not about rejecting people. It's about rejecting the social fine print. And if that makes them seem like lone wolves, they're perfectly okay with it. Number 9. Enhanced focus on personal projects or passions. When a Sigma male locks onto a personal project or passion, it's like flipping a switch. Everything else becomes background noise. Their focus sharpens to the point where it's almost laser-like. It's not that they don't value relationships or social connections, but when they're deep in the zone, every second of their time is precious, and anything or anyone that could pull them away from that is seen as a distraction. They know that real progress in their work demands total commitment, and if that means stepping back from the outside world, so be it. For Sigma males, personal projects are like a sacred space. Whether it's writing, designing, coding, or building something from scratch, it's their time to create, grow, and explore ideas without external interruptions. Relationships, no matter how meaningful, can sometimes feel like obstacles when they're in this mode. They aren't interested in half-hearted efforts, and they certainly won't let small talk or social events derail them from their mission. If they need to isolate themselves to finish a task or nurture a creative spark, they'll cold switch, cutting ties with anything that could possibly divert their attention. This intense focus can be both a blessing and a curse. While others might wonder why the Sigma has gone off the grid for a while, they're perfectly content in their own bubble, knowing they're inching closer to something big. They're the type to throw themselves headfirst into their work, blocking out the world in order to bring something unique to life. It's not about abandoning people. It's about prioritizing their own growth. Once they've achieved what they set out to do, they'll re-enter the world, more energized and fulfilled, ready to engage on their own terms. Number 10. Refusal to settle for conventional support. Sigma males have an innate sense of self-sufficiency that makes them wary of the conventional systems of support most people rely on. When life gets tough or they hit a roadblock, the typical route of seeking comfort from friends, family, or professional help often feels inadequate, even counterproductive. These traditional sources of support can sometimes be filled with well-intentioned advice, empty reassurances, or simply a lack of understanding about what the Sigma actually needs. Instead of feeling comforted or validated by these conventional responses, Sigmas often feel trapped in a cycle of social expectations that don't align with their values or needs. This disconnect is what drives them to cold switch. For Sigmas, the need for external validation or comfort is minimal at best. They don't crave sympathy or someone to tell them everything will be okay. They already know that they're capable of handling their own problems, which is why they don't lean on others in times of struggle. The moment they sense that conventional support is more about fulfilling the social obligation of offering comfort rather than addressing the root of the problem, they will quietly retreat. They know they're more than capable of navigating challenges on their own, and they'd rather go it alone than deal with support that feels insincere or insufficient. This refusal to settle for standard forms of social support stems from a deep understanding of their own emotional independence. Sigmas believe that true strength lies in self-reliance and problem-solving from within. They'd much rather work through their struggles in solitude, trusting their own resources to pull through, than engage in the typical social exchanges that often lead to more frustration than help. For them, the real comfort comes from knowing they can handle life on their own terms, without needing anyone else to fill in the gaps. This ability to reject conventional support is what makes Sigmas uniquely resilient, choosing independence over comfort and substance over superficiality. Sigma males are a breed apart, and their decision to cold switch is not just a passive retreat but a powerful act of self-preservation and authenticity. They understand that in a world constantly pulling for attention and approval, the greatest strength lies in the ability to choose when to engage and when to step back. By carefully managing their energy, setting boundaries, and staying true to their own values, Sigmas shape their lives on their own terms. They don't seek validation from the crowd or rely on conventional sources of support. Instead, they trust their own instincts, craft their own path, and embrace the freedom that comes with self-reliance. In a world that often rewards conformity, they are the quiet rebels who understand that true success is about living authentically, unshaken by the noise around them. So while others may be caught in the chase for approval, Sigmas remain focused, intentional, and resolute, proving that sometimes the most powerful move is stepping back and allowing yourself to grow in your own time and space. If you found this deep dive into the Sigma mindset intriguing and want more content that challenges the norm and goes beyond the surface, make sure to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you're not just joining a channel, you're stepping into a community that values authenticity, independence, and the pursuit of personal growth. So if you're ready to embrace the Sigma way and continue exploring powerful ideas that push boundaries, don't miss out. Subscribe now and let's keep this conversation going.